So till date, in all our parts until now, we have very deeply covered all other areas except for the sales and marketing area in the system. Meaning we have covered the procurement and sourcing, inventory management, even the quality management, vendor collaboration, product information management. Even to an extent, we have covered general ledger and all that areas in the system. But what is pending right now is the sales and marketing module. So for us to get started with the sales process, the first thing that you need to set up is the customer in the system. And as you can see in our legal entity, we have done so many setups, but we have never created the customer yet. So let's get started with the customer creation in this particular episode and start using the customer and doing some sales transactions in the system. Obviously, after creating a customer, I need to first set up the posting profile before we even get started with the sales process. So I don't want to spend much time about the customer data itself, because we did spend a quality time while creating a vendor master record. So the customer is quite similar to that of a vendor. So most of the fields that you have seen in the vendor is also applicable in the customer. The terms of payment, the mode of delivery, everything that you have created for the sake of vendor will also be applicable for the customer, and those data will also be visible here while creating a customer. So I will be using the same data while creating a customer. I'm not going to repeat myself. Just in case, if you want to refresh your memory, do watch the topic related with the vendor master creation to have more details about various fields. For now, we will very quickly get started with the customer record creation. You need to click on in the account receivable customer all customer, or even the sales and marketing customer all customer. However you want to go ahead and just click on the new customer button. Your customer can be an organization, that is a company, or it can be a person. In my case, it's going to be a organization. So let me name it as WCT private limited, sorry, private limited. And the next field is you need something called as a customer group. Customer group is a very important field, and it is a mandatory field in the customer record creation. Without a customer group, I cannot proceed further with the customer account creation process. So the customer group is used for the customer segmentation. That's a major purpose of it. It's also used for reporting, and it's also used in the future for tagging your main accounts, sometimes not specific to every single customer, but also specific to a customer group. Because it's not very realistic for every single customer to have a main account to be posted for posting the customer balance. Rather, it makes more sense for us to have a group of customer being posted of a similar nature being posted to a specific ledger account. So again, for posting profile setup, you definitely need this customer group, and other areas like your trade agreements and all that areas are impacted by the customer group. So customer group is a very important setup. So let me go right click view details and give some customer group. Well, I don't want to type the customer group. I rather copy it from my another legal entity which is already set with the customer group. So that one is my wholesale customer. I can tag the terms of payment with the customer, which was going to be like 1 month from the terms of payment will dictate the due date for the customer to make the payment. So the customer could also be entitled for a specific cash discount to encourage the customer to pay faster. We've already set this up because we've created the data while discussion of vendor master. You can refer back to that video to know more about the terms of payment. And of course, we will also be talking about them while we are talking about the financial topics in a different series, or maybe in the future parts. So yeah, so this is the terms of payment. Yeah, so now the next one. So that's going to be 20, and that's a major customer. The group is not like a hard and fast rule. You can set up the group based on what the customer recommends you, based on the customer's requirement. It changes from the implementation to implementation. The one I'm doing is just a generic data. Okay, let me also tag the terms of payments for all the customers. Um, Maybe for my intercompany, yeah, let it be all the same. So this is a very important setup. So once it's done, then you will be able to just group the customer. Let's say it's a major customer, this example, and the delivery terms, we already know about it. We have already seen it in detail during the vendor creation. So the mode of delivery and the terms of delivery and all that are we already created. Just refer to the previous video. And the address, I'm going to just specify address for now. um, some address. So contact information is your phone number and the customer's phone number and some extension if anything is there, and also some email address. And just go for this. Also possible to use this customer by clicking on this button and directly create a sales order from this particular screen. Okay, so but in this case I'm not going to create a sales order directly from there. I am first creating a customer, and then later on we will use the customer in different transactions. Again guys, this is I've already mentioned, this is for the sake of different logics like postings and pricing and everything. It's very useful. Whereas the classification group is again, so customer segmentation. It doesn't have any logic. It's just for the sake of reporting. So you can further classify the customer into different classification group. You can create them. The number of employees is customer being an organization. You can specify the total number of employees this organization has. And there are other regulatory requirements like this number and organization number, etc., which are good to fill. And of course, there are more fields you can see if needed. And likewise, you have your address here that we have keyed in during the customer creation. There are also more options here that we have already explored, meaning the apart from the primary address, you can also have a different address like delivery address, non-primary address if needed. We already explored all of that in vendor master creation, so I'm not going to go deeper into that again. Likewise, the contact information we have already filled in while doing a vendor, and you can even go ahead and create more contacts if needed. Under the miscellaneous section, you can specify those generic things like your country, state, and everything. And the important field that I feel is the intercompany setup. It's possible that we can configure this particular customer. In this case, the customer group is not intercompany, it is a major customer. But if a customer is an intercompany customer, then we might need to turn this on, guys. This will not be turned on manually. Like as you can see, it will be turned on once you have the intercompany setup configured from this particular area under the general tab. Meaning if this customer is going to be your intercompany customer, meaning he is like a subsidiary to your company, so he might have another legal entity, so you need to do a mapping between this customer and the legal entity the customer belonging to. So for us, this is a sales order. We are doing a sales to this customer, but for the customer it's going to be a purchase order. So a purchase order needs to be created. So our legal entity will be a vendor account in their company. So we need to map this customer account against the vendor account by using this particular intercompany setup. So that's a separate topic to discuss. We will do that. So once we do all of that, you will see the vendor account, the company name, this being active, and you can create intercompany orders and all that. We will look into that in a detailed fashion later when we are discussing about the intercompany transaction. We also have a concept of direct delivery, which will be a next topic, or maybe after a couple of topics we will discuss about the direct delivery. So during that time we will enable it. So there is a possibility that you can tag a primary contact for your customer, so you know that who is the contact person, who is the primary contact person for that particular customer. And you can tag the worker who is responsible for the customer in our company. So in this case, the Mohammed Yasser is a worker created in this company, so I am responsible for this particular customer. Again, the customer segmentations and all other things comes into picture here. You can even write some free text notes about the customer in this particular area. Sometimes, your customer asks for this kind of requirements, this kind of fields. So you should at least have an idea about what are the fields that are available, so you can utilize those fields to cater to certain requirements of the customer. I have seen many implementation where the customer needs a free text field type within a customer record, but the consultant is not aware of a notes field that is existing in the sales demographic, and they do a customization and create similar field again within the customer record. I've seen such things happening in the implementation. So being aware of all the fields within the customer, at least a high level awareness, will avoid this kind of duplication. So again, whether the customer's currency is Indian rupees, or whether he's following a US dollars, or whether the customer is from whichever country, you need to apply that. That's a very important field again. The credit collection is again another important topic. So the credit limit, whatever I give here, let's say 1 million, let's say, that I'm giving here, will be the credit limit for this particular customer. You all know that in the B2B business, customer won't buy products for cash. We will do the sales to the customer for credit, right? For every customer, we may set up a credit limit so that we restrict them from going beyond a specific credit limit. And we also provide them with a credit rating based on the risk factor and based on the history of transactions that we have done with the customer. And likewise, this field and this field are connected with each other. Let's say we are exceeding the credit limit of 1 million, then there will be a warning in a sales order while creating a sales order. But if I turn this on, then the system will stop me and provide me with an error whenever I'm exceeding the 100 million mark. But these were two primary fields that used to be available in a little older version of Dynamic 365. But after some of the new features and some the new modules like credit and collections, we do see a lot more capabilities related with the credit and collections. And there is also a separate module called credit and collections to handle various scenarios related with the customer credit check. So for now, we can just try to explore the credit limit and the mandatory credit limit, but all other areas related with the credit is a separate topic to discuss, maybe while we are exploring about the financials. So that's pretty much about the credits. And the sales order defaults, again, majority of the fields you see here are all repetition of the vendor master field. You can specify a default warehouse which will be defaulted into a sales order whenever you're creating a sales order for this customer. Again, the currency will also be defaulted into sales order whenever you're creating a sales order for this customer. So let's say for this customer, you always deliver the product from a nearest warehouse, which is going to be the CS, which needs to be defaulted in a sales order. Then it's always good to select them in the customer records, so you don't need to retype them in the sales order. The commission group is again another topic, separate topic that we will be discussing while discussing about sales commissions. So for performing every single sales, there could be a certain commissions applicable for the sellers and the ADC motor company. So those sellers needs to be defined within a commission group, and there is a commission calculation that happens against all the sellers within the group, and they will be entitled for a specific incentive for achieving a specific target. So we'll look into the sales commissioning part in the future episodes. There is also capability to key in the account number, because in our system we captured the customer account as ADC 00012. Likewise, a customer might be using another system like SAP or Oracle, and they would have kept our account number or our legal entity's account as a vendor. So you can maybe specify those account number here for our reference if needed. So whatever it is. And likewise, multi-line discount, total discount, line discount, everything that we have seen during the vendor process, all applicable for the customers as well. Order pool is just a classification of your customer. And the rebate, again, like vendor rebate, we also have a customer rebate. It's a separate topic to discuss. So these are and also supplementary item that are applicable for a specific customer for a specific item that can also be tagged along here. So these are some of the fields that are available within the sales order defaults. And majority of the fields here are something we have already discussed during the vendor master discussion. I'm not going to repeat them. You can refer to them in the vendor master video. And like vendor hold, we also have check holds, we have cash discounts, and all similar to the vendor master. You can even default the financial dimension here that will be finally defaulted into your sales order. And this is related with advanced warehouse management. So this is related with advanced warehouse management. This is financial dimension. A customer account can also have a vendor invoice account. Sorry, not a vendor, invoice account. So for example, a customer is an organization, WCT in our case, but the customer is having a parent organization who will be the funding source or who will be the person responsible for actually invoicing. Maybe it's a headquarters of the customer. So in such cases, a customer account will be different from the vendor account. Or in an automotive scenario, it could be a person buying a car who will be the custodian of the car, whereas the invoice account is a financing company which is actually financing my customer, and that particular financer will be the one receiving the invoicing and will be responsible for the car financially. In such cases, the customer account will be the account of a custodian who will be using the car, whereas the finance company, who's the invoicing company, will be the invoice customer. In such cases, the invoice needs to be issued not to the other account but to the invoice account. So that is again another interesting field here, which will be in some cases used very often by the customer. So this is for the transportation management module, retail module. So these are some of the key fields related with the customer, but creation of a customer itself is not very difficult. It's very easy. Just key in the name. If you have a number sequence, then the account number will come from the number sequence. Type in the customer group, then you're almost done with the customer record creation. And on the action tab, there are a lot of fields like contact, party. You know about party. We can create directly a party first and then release a customer and vendor from the party. After creation of a party, customer, you can even change the party association. We did all of this for the vendor master discussion. Similarly, if the customer is in multiple legal entity, you can check the customer transaction in the specific legal entity and global transactions, which are in the intercompany multiple legal entities. The customer balance is very important, and this is where all the debit balance of the customers will get posted and get reversed once your customer is the payment of the customer is processed. The forecast again can be forecasted demand that we are estimating or we are forecasting from the customer. Once we get the data, we can dump all the data in here specific to which item group and all that. So based on that, master planning can suggest you with some recommended quantity in your inventory. The bank account details, credit card information, the attachments, the registration information of the company, everything is available here. Likewise, every single tab corresponds to different business process. So instead of going through them tab by tab, which could be slightly boring, we will go through them when we reach the relevant area in the system. And that time we will cover them one by one. So it makes more sense for us. So that's about the customer data in Microsoft Dynamics 365. So now we will go ahead, use this customer and utilize them into different transactions.